Welcome to this video where we'll take a look at Cloverleaf, the new headphone and line in, line out module by Afterlater Audio. This is a 14 HP 1U Intellijel size module designed to interface with your Intellijel case built-in jacks. All at the same time, this module can provide stereo line in, an additional line in or pedal in, stereo line output, an additional line output or pedal output, and our headphone output. It's the perfect case interface module, and it's great for getting external gear into your modular rack. In this video, I'll cover how to install the module, a rundown of how it works, and I'll show some patching examples to get the most out of the module. You could jump to any section of the video using the time codes now. And let's get started with installation. Okay, first things first, let's get Cloverleaf all connected up to our Intellijel case. First, we'll take a look at the back of the module here. So you can see up top here, we have a jumper for our headphones to change it from stereo to mono. I'm going to keep that in stereo right now. But now to connect it to our case, we have our power, which needs to be connected, which is this part here. And then for this Intellijel case, which is the 104 HP version, we have 4 jacks on our case here, which means it will interface with this in and this out, which means we're going to plug these tiny little ribbon cables into the in and the out, making sure that the red points in the right direction. Now, if you have the smaller pallet case, we're actually going to use this pallet 62 HP I/O connector here. So we'll connect that there, and that would connect to our case. But we have one more connector here, which is if you have an older Intellijel case, you would use this 5-pin connector here that says main, which you would need to supply your own ribbon cable for to connect that to your case. But since I have the 104 HP version, I'm going to connect back with the in and the out, like this, and with the power. So for the 104 HP case, we'd look like this, and now let's show how to connect it to the case. So now we have the inside of our case here, and what I'm going to do is use these 2 connectors here at the bottom, these 2 3-pins. So what we want to do is connect the in labeled cable from Cloverleaf and connect that to the left side. And then take the out ribbon and attach that into the right side. And we have to connect our power, of course, so I need to connect that into the case. And that's it. We're all connected to our case, and now we have the 4 inputs of our case connected to Cloverleaf with 2 in and 2 out. Now let's do a rundown of the module. So now that we have Cloverleaf installed, let's look at how it interfaces with our case here. And we'll start with the in-L and in-R. Now these actually are not inputs. These are labeled like typical Afterlater Audio outputs are, because they are outputs for the inputs on the case. Now in-L corresponds to jack 1, and in-R corresponds to jack 2. Now what you would normally think is, oh, we want a stereo signal coming in. We set this R1 to line, and we have our right and our left signal, and we can pull those into our rack. And that is the case. But to make it easier, we can connect to this breakout cable that's provided with the module and just attach that headphone adapter that I know you have. Now this is a TRS style cable or tip ring sleeve, which is stereo. And it accepts that in input 1. And we can output that into our rack with output in L. So we have this, and we could easily patch stereo line level, converted to modular level into our system. Now input 2 is only mono, but it can accept line level or pedal level, as in coming from a guitar or bass pedal. And it will take that level and really jack it up if you're not using a preamp. If you're using a preamp, then you want to switch to line level. But if you're coming straight from your pedals, just switch it to pedal here. We go in the input and we'll get our pedal or guitar signal or bass signal coming right into our modular rack now. Nice and easy. And the level is perfect. No need to adjust because line levels are usually pretty steady. Guitar levels are steady and the modular levels are. So it's just kind of an easy step jump as opposed to fiddling around with the line in knob, which I think is great with this module. It makes it so nice and easy. Now you guessed it, we can do the same thing with our out L and out R. Now these are not outputs, they're inputs. They're inputs for the master output of our case or whatever we want to send to, you guessed it, 3 and 4. Out L is 3, out R is 4. Out L, or output 3, has that stereo, so we can plug our stereo cable with that headphone thing into 3, and we have an output out of our rack. And then we have the same thing with the out R as the in R, where we can output our signal to a line level, like going to a mixer, say, or pedal level to go out to a guitar pedal. And that corresponds to output 4 here. And then we have our headphone output. Now our headphone output is a mix of out L and out R. Left side, right side. But we also have the stereo on the left side. So actually, we can plug in stereo in to out L and we get stereo in our headphone output. But if we plug into out R as well, while using the headphone, we get that into our headphones as well. And that's just going to go in the right ear. So we get stereo plus right. So if you're using it as a headphone, you probably want to use these together as stereo to make sure you don't patch anything else in there, or just patch in with that breakout cable here and don't patch anything into out R. But if you're just using that headphone output to monitor or something like that, then you're probably fine with patching into out R as well, if you don't mind that extra signal in your right ear. And that's all there is to Cloverleaf, with the inputs, the outputs, the headphone out, and it's great for intermingling your guitar pedals in here and get everything into and out of your modular rack. Now let's look at some examples of ways to utilize Cloverleaf. Now let's say we want to route our microphone into our system. Super easy. Just plug our microphone output into input 1 here. And then we have an output into our system here with input L.
Now it's super easy to play vocals in my modular synth.
And now let's look at using Cloverleaf as a pedal interface, where we can pull audio from our system or externally, send it to our pedals, and then send it back into Cloverleaf and into our modular system. For this instance, I'm going to use some external drums from the TR-8S, and I'm going to patch them into out R here. And I'm going to set it to pedal, because it's going to send our line or modular signal at a pedal level. Now what this does is sends our signal to this number 4 output here. So I'm going to plug my guitar pedal input into this number 4 output here. And with that, we're sending out to our guitar pedal. So to send back in, I'm going to take that guitar pedal end of chain signal and plug that in to input 2 here. And I'm going to set this to pedal as well, because it's a pedal input coming in. And now we can plug that into our system by pulling the output here from in R, which is our guitar pedal. You can hear it's heavily distorted and compressed because I'm running it through Swollen Pickle, and then running it into my system into Dwarf Star Stereo Delay and Data Bender. So let's hear our drum beat. So you can hear the level will drop if I switch this to line, and it'll get way overblown if I switch this one to line. But since it's going in through that Swollen Pickle, we don't notice it too much, but you can hear that level drop. But this is the level that we need. And that is using Cloverleaf as a pedal interface with the Intellijel case. Now let's connect an external synth into our modular system. So what I could do is just plug into 1 and 2 and have the line level, but I want to save 2 for a guitar input coming up next. So what I'm going to do again is use this handy adapter, and coming from my synthesizer, I have one of these cables that goes from my Synth 1/4 inch audio output to the 3.5 millimeter. And then I have that handy 1/4 inch adapter for this. So I could plug that into here, plug my synth into the left and the right. And now my synth is plugged into my system and coming out input L. And we have this stereo breakout here. And I'm just going to patch it into beads. So, got white for left, red for right. And we're all patched into our system, and we have our synth. Now here's a little ditty. Now let's get some guitar plugged into this guy. Okay, so let's connect some guitar. So I have my guitar output coming from the pedals, not from a preamp, so it's at pedal volume. I'm going to plug in to 2 here, switch to pedal, and now we have a pedal output. I'll just show real quick. And I'm going to patch this into a synth. Now we have our guitar and our synth all patched in to the modular system. The only drawback, however, is that the left and right are combined in here. So we're going to be getting some guitar in this right hand signal, and we're going to get some of this right hand synth signal in the guitar path. So if you kind of want to run 2 things into similar but yet different effects, it's a great system to use. Otherwise, we're just going to unplug this and just have our straight guitar going into our system. And now let's record some music in and take a listen.